All right, we are live. This is Sound Booth Theater Live. These are the cold reads of Earth Force 3, Part 4. Part 4 of the cold reads. So, we've made it. God damn, this book is long. So, we've made it 17% in. We're at Chapter 7, The Hailer. For those of you who have not caught up, who have not been watching the first two cold reads, let's see. We got to Hammerhead Station last time. One of their new crew members, Leonard, has some special abilities, some special tech inside of him that tripped the alarm at Hammerhead Station. Security got involved, and also we met Tuv Greg, very important, very important character because I did an old Greg impression for his voice. So looking forward to see how people react to that. But now they are ready to start doing some mining. I think they're going to go after some tritium. Can't remember exactly what they're mining here. But what they need, basically what they're going to do is they're going to outfit their ship to process a bunch of these metals into materials that have a higher profit margin, basically, than just the things they've been collecting. And they're investing all this money that they actually got from the people on Earth to generate even more, because they need more equipment. They need to catch up. They found out that the Galactus type character who's in this story right now, they found out that there's a good chance he's just waiting for Earth to ripen. So that means they can't continue to cull the warped on the planet as much as they would like to. They actually need the warp to continue to reproduce and multiply, increase their presence on the Earth, so that the Galactus type character will continue to watch instead of jump in and invade and start harvesting immediately. So, yeah, this is getting a bit complex, but everyone's leveling up. Everyone's improving. The ship's getting better. I think the entire core team, Nori, Lana, Bulko, and Nathan, and Caddy, have all reached level 10, and at level 10 they all got these crazy bonuses. Basically, Caddy's now a predator. She can cloak and shoot people from afar now, and she already demonstrated that when they got jumped at Tuv Greg's place. I'm Tuv Greg. So yeah, I hope you guys are excited for the next coming chapters, and here we go. Starting on 7. Chapter 7. The Hailer. The hours passed as Unity guided herself and moved around the lifeless terrain, her glowing maw devouring the asteroid. She skittered around like a giant wasp, dipping her head into every rich mound she found, steadily building her supply. Large bulges went through her elongated neck as the extracted minerals traveled into her internal storage capacitors, leaving a trail of ejected, unusable chaff. Lana and Caddy got up after a couple of hours of playing poker and headed to their cabins, leaving the two somewhat wild-eyed new crew members in the galley. You do realize, Leonard said, that we're still sitting inside a giant machine walking around on our own on a frickin' asteroid while the senior crew all take a break? They've been working hard. Judy shrugged. Oops. The dark circles around her eyes suggested they weren't the only ones. The dark circles around her eyes suggested they weren't the only ones, a fact not lost on the ship's doctor. "You need to rest too," he said. "Won't help anyone to have our resident scientist pass out from exhaustion." She shook her head. "There's too much to learn and explore, and let's be realistic. It's not like some catastrophe which only I can solve is likely to happen. Besides, I need to collect some... Besides, I need to collect more samples." I guess you're right. I'm still thinking in old world terms, I guess. The tech in your body... Am I doing his voice right even? Let me see. Similar. That's Cirque. Sure. I don't have a lot to do right now. Leonard got up. I'm not doing it right. Hold on. You do realize that we're sitting inside a giant machine walking around on our own on a freaking asteroid while the senior crew all take a break? They've been working hard. You need to rest too. Won't help anyone to have our resident scientist pass out from exhaustion. I guess you're right. I'm still thinking in old world terms, I guess. The tech in your body will keep you working long after you would have dropped from exhaustion. What's keeping you so busy anyway? Judy looked around and lowered her voice even more. Have you seen how Unity produces the trinium? Yes. Leonard tilted his head. She blasts the ground with that mining beam thing and sort of swallows it. The woman shook her head. That's how she gets the raw material. But deep inside her gullet, they're somehow getting mixed and converted into trinium and something called palladium. I've seen her draw out aluminum from the cargo hold. It simply sunk into the floor. Her voice was barely above a whisper. Okay, Leah whispered back. Why are we whispering? Because what's to stop her if she decides to suck us into the floor? I would never do... Where'd it go? I would never do that, Chief Scientist. Unity's purple orb materialized in front of the two startled humans. Let's try that again. Into the floor. I would never do that. Into the floor. I would never do that. Into the floor. I would never do that. Or I would never do that, Chief Scientist. Okay, let's see here. And I'll redo this part. Unity's purple orb materialized in front of the two startled humans. I would never suck people without their consent. Leonard coughed embarrassedly. Nope, embarrassedly. I hate that word so much, embarrassedly. Ugh. Oh, thanks, Wags. Thanks for coming, guys. Hey, Margos, good to see you. Good to see you back over here. Leonard coughed embarrassedly. That's, good to know. I did suck Nathan, once, but that was to facilitate our bond. He came back much improved. We didn't mean to imply, the woman started, then drifted off lamely. That is quite all right, Unity replied in her soothing voice. As flesh-based symbiote, you are naturally concerned about your position living inside a more evolved organism. I quite understand. Leonard chuckled nervously. Flesh-based? Flesh-based? Isn't it an apt description? Isn't it an apt description? You two, based on your native speech, are considered to be fresh meat?
Don't let her get to you. Bulko's strong voice caused the two to jump.
The muscle-heavy engineer was leaning against the far wall, arms crossed, though he looked amused. Meat?
Don't let her get...
Meat?
Don't let her...
Fresh meat?
Don't let her get to you. Bulko. Unity likes to think she has a good sense of humor. She enjoys making the rest of us start thinking about the machine uprising. She enjoys making the rest of us start thinking about the machine uprising.
That is a fallacy.
Am I wrong?
You are. I do have an excellent sense of humor. Haha, got you. Leonard passed a shaking hand over his forehead. Good one, Unity. The woman smiled. Unity, since we have you here, maybe you can answer some of our questions. Unity, since we have you here, maybe you can answer some of our questions? Certainly, Judy. How are you producing tritium and palladium without the gear we've purchased already installed?
Bulko shrugged. Not much mystery about it. She eats metal, digests it, and poops back alloys.
To put it more eloquently, Unity's hovering sphere did a remarkable imitation of an eye roll. I have retained the ability, which I inherited from the original mining drone, to mix molten minerals at exact ratios inside a superheated chamber. The process is sufficient for lower-grade alloys. So, can you produce other types of alloys? Of course. Anything basic is easily done. Steel, magnesium-based alloys, bronze, and more. Rate of production? At my current form, I can process 10.2 tons of raw ground per hour. The mineral production rate is dependent on the composition. At 100%, I'll produce 10.2 tons of metal. At 0%, none. The alloying process is scaled to match mining intake. You said lower-grade alloys. What about the higher-grade ones?
That's what the smelting equipment we've purchased in Hammerhead is for. I'm not a metallurgist, but I know that refining nadirium takes more than simply melting it down. Erodium is also tricky to produce. It uses some sort of particle collider technology in the process.
The scientist's eyes lit up. I would be interested to study how it works. Bulko shrugged.
Once everything is set up, be my guest.
I appreciate it. He smiled at her.
How do you two like your new working environment?
Leonard shook his head. It's pretty incredible. The level of technology you have in here. The engineer nodded.
It's pretty cool, I get it. But being out here can be dangerous. Y'all need to know how to play it cool when shit hits the fan.
Unity's purple orb flashed red.
Foreign ship detected. Their cannons are powered up and aimed our way. They're firing!
Figures. Bulko sighed. Figures.
A deep shudder ran through the ship. Nori's voice came through the comms.
Everyone, battle stations.
Nori's chair rose to grab her out of the air as she flew over to the pilot station. In an instant, her fingers were entwined with the manual navigation controls, steering Unity away from the anonymous vessel.
Cirque, target the enemy ship and prepare to fire. Lana, what can you tell me?
The expert reached her seat a moment after the captain, her hands working independently of each other as consoles and monitors sprang and vanished before her. The front view screens flickered to display a landed ship that looked like a tube with tiny aft wings sitting between two huge boulders.
The enemy ship identifies as Koff design. I'm reading structural damage all over her hull. Their cannons...
Lana raised her eyebrows.
It's a grade F asteroid cannon. It looks even weaker than ours.
Nori slowed down her frantic maneuvering.
So... they pose no danger. So... they pose no danger. According to what I can see, no. Their first shot was a direct hit and did no damage. The palladium plating easily absorbed it.
They're pirates, Bulko growled. They fired the first shot. I say we take them out before they get the chance to do something else.
Nori shook her head.
If they had something worse, they would have opened with that.
Then they're lousy pirates. I still vote to blast them off this rock.
I have locked on their engines, ready to fire,
Cirque reported.
How come we didn't detect them sooner?
Nori asked. Lana's fingers kept dancing over her monitors.
Those boulders contain a large concentration of heavy metals. It hid their energy signature.
We're losing our advantage, Captain, Bulko warned. They might be preparing a missile as we sit here and do nothing.
They're hailing us,
Lana said hurriedly. Nora nodded.
On screen. They're hailing us!
The central view screen continued to display the alien ship. The rightmost one flickered to display an unfamiliar alien. It was humanoid, thick salt and paper? Probably means salt and pepper. Thick salt and pepper fur covered every visible part of its body. The eyes were barely visible through their narrow slits.
We surrender,
the aliens spoke.
Please don't destroy us. We have nothing of value on board.
Nori exchanged a brief look with Bulko.
Why have you opened fire on us?
The alien's fur visibly whitened, something that Nori's language pack implant interpreted as a sign of bewilderment.
We've been alone on this asteroid for 20 cycles. No one ever comes here, and since your ship isn't flagged as one of the local mining factions, given your armament, we've assumed you to be pirates. I ordered my crew to fire a warning shot, but, it seems that our targeting systems have malfunctioned. You have my sincere apologies.
Nori visibly relaxed.
That makes sense. You don't have to worry. We're not pirates.
Oh, that is a relief. I am called Cornupusi, captain of the Hailer.
Nori Allegra, captain of Unity. We're a mining vessel.
It is rare to encounter another unaffiliated mining ship, Captain Nori.
I take it you are too?
We are, though nothing close to your level, it seems. We deploy simple mining drones, a much slower process than yours, I imagine. I'm grateful you have not suffered damage from our mistake. I once again wish to extend my apology.
Nori nodded, looking around the bridge.
Stand down, everyone.
She returned her gaze to the alien.
Why are you out here, Captain Pooty?
She read slowly as Lana helpfully displayed the alien's name above his image.
I thought we were the only mining ship around not affiliated with the local factions.
The alien captain's fur reddened slightly, which Nori realized was their version of a scowl.
We aren't from Hammerhead originally. We came here looking for precious nadirium, but fell on hard times. Pirates stole all the nadirium we managed to mine, leaving us barely more than a wreck. My chief engineer perished in the attack, and we barely managed to fix enough of our systems to limp back to the station. Barely more than a wreck. My chief engineer perished in the attack, and we barely managed to fix enough of our systems to limp back to the station. We couldn't afford a full restoration, and were since reduced to using simple mining drones, looking for cheap minerals we can safely transport back in the hope of gathering enough to fix the ship and leave this blasted system.
You mean you're stranded here?
The captain's fur became tinged with yellow. Desperation.
The number of minerals.
Crap.
The number of minerals we managed to extract is barely enough to cover our docking fee of that heinous station, let alone repairs. There's no aluminum in this asteroid field, so we can't use our surviving equipment to produce the trinium required for repairs. It's a constant struggle to keep even life support operational. Our null tunnel drive is severely damaged. It cannot withstand more than a few light years' journey at a time and necessitates a long recharge period before it can be used again, making it impractical to return to our home system.
Lana pressed one of her monitors.
I've muted the call. I found information about...
Oh, Lana did.
I've muted the call. I've muted the call. I found information about their species and unities.
Damn it.
I've muted the call. I found information about their species and unities database.
Fuck me.
I've muted the call. I found information about their species in Unity's database. Their species is called Koph. They originate in the Kepler-68 star system, which is...
Damn it.
They originate in the Kepler-68 star system, which is... Wow, 440 light-years away. It will take Unity almost 3 months to reach it. I have a summary here about the Koph. Generally peaceful explorers, but can be violent if threatened. Highly territorial.
Nori nodded.
Thanks, Lana. Bulko, still think they're a threat?
They seem legit. But this could still be a trap.
These poor souls had it as bad as we when we first...
This is Nathan.
These poor souls had it as bad as we when we first went out to look for nadirium.
Nathan spoke up.
One more time. These poor souls had it as bad as we when we first went out to look for nadirium.
Nathan spoke up.
Only they didn't have Unity to pull them out of trouble as we did. I think we should help them,
Lana said.
I agree,
Cirque replied.
It is the honorable and virtuous way to help those in need.
No.
It is the honorable and virtuous way to help those in need.
Whatever we do, Bulko said, we should still stay alert. Or was I the only one who heard the words highly territorial and can be violent?
We'll be careful, Nori said. Lana, unmute, please. Done. Captain Cornuputi. Nori looked back at the view screen. We'd like to offer our assistance.
I appreciate the offer, Captain Nori, but we cannot pay you.
She shook her head. No charge. People shouldn't struggle to get breathable air. I'll let my chief weigh in. Bulko, how hard would it be to patch them up?
Bulko glanced at his screen.
Girl, run a multi-spectrum analysis. And forward it to my station.
Sure.
Lana said, hands dancing on her consoles.
All done.
The engineer's console chirped.
Looks like multiple hull fractures. Structural integrity compromised. Life support, propulsion, power core, all on red.
He looked up.
Between me, Cirque, and our 2 repair drones, we can patch up most of the structural damage and stabilize some of their systems. That would require us to use a good chunk of our trinium.
His tone conveyed how much he disliked that idea.
How long?
He looked at his consoles again.
It's a lot of damage. But most of it is only skin deep. The drones can handle most of it. 20 hours at most.
That means we can continue mining, Nori mused. Normally I'd hate the delay, considering what's at stake. But I keep learning that navigation equations take time. Good thing you're the pilot, Caddy grinned at her. My brain would have melted trying to make sense of all those numbers. It's settled then, Nori said. Captain Cornuputi, we'll send over our engineers along with some repair equipment to help you out.
The alien's fur turned gray. Thankful.
I don't know how to thank you, Unity.
Maybe try not to shoot us next time we meet?
The alien captain let out a rough chuckle.
It's a deal.
That wasn't a great performance anyway.
It's a deal.
There we go, that's better.
Well then,
Bulko said as he got up from his seat.
I guess that's that. I'll get ready to head out. And hopefully not die horribly if it's a trap.
Coming, Cirque?
Nori nodded. Caddy, go with them. Just to make sure everything is all right. Sure thing, Captain.
The Jaeger narrowed her eyes at the engineer.
Why do you look so smug all of a sudden?
Gotta take the good along with the bad, he replied brightly, like taking my Hummer out for a spin. Wanted to test out her grav module for a while now.
Caddy sighed.
Men.
Get out of here, Caddy. You would like it too. Yeah, Margos, if you like what you're hearing here, we have the first 2 books of Earth Force available on our platform, and they have cinematic audio versions. So full cast sound effects and music. We release, for this series, we release audiobooks that are just me, and cinematic audio that's the whole cast. So...
And we've reached the 10 tons mark.
Fuck.
And we've reached the 10 tons mark.
Lana spoke from her seat.
Not including the trinium Bulko took with... Not including the trinium Bulko took with him. Should I start the restructuring process, Captain?
Nori shook her head. Let's not broadcast Unity's ability to evolve. Let's not broadcast Unity's ability to evolve to our new friends. Bulko, how's it going over there?
Dark, dirty, and full of holes,
The engineer's voice replied.
but we're making good progress. Our drones are well suited to handle structural damage while Cirque and I patch up some of their systems.
Anything else? Nori hesitated. To report?
Yeah, no need to sweat it, Captain. These cops are nice people. They go out of their way to show their gratitude for the help.
Nori's lip curved up. So, I made the right call back there?
Looks like. That's why you get paid the big bucks, Captain.
Roger that. How long till you finish?
I reckon 12 more hours and the hailer would be as fixed as we can get her.
All right. We'll keep mining over here.
You do that.
Nori cut the connection and turned back to analyzing the navigation data the astrometric lab was feeding her. Looks like she had plenty of time left to kill.
We're all done. The engineer's voice broke the silence. We're packing up and heading back your way, Unity.
Nori stirred up from her monitors. Ah, good.
I don't know what to say,
Captain Cornuputi said.
For the first time in many cycles, our life support system isn't running in the reds, and structural integrity is back to 100%. We should be able to prolong our mining operations enough to finally afford to get out of this system. We owe you and your people a great debt. Here.
They just sent us a modified sensor subroutine,
Lana noted from her console.
The pirates that attacked us masked their energy signature with something that mimicked the signals emitted by the asteroid field,
The Cough explained.
We have since managed to isolate the unique pattern from the background noise. I'm not sure what sort of sensors your ship has, and you might not need it, but it's the only thing I can offer for your help.
No one ever accused our sensors of being too good.
Lana said brightly.
Me the least.
Nori nodded. Thank you for that.
I only wish there was something more we could offer.
About that, there might be something we can help each other with.
I'm listening.
You said your null tunnel drive is operational, right?
Yes, but unfortunately the damage is beyond your esteemed engineer's ability to repair.
I know. But you can use it for short bursts. 4 light years?
Oh, we can?
Nori looked around the bridge to gauge the others' reaction. Everyone nodded back at her, even Bulko.
What?
He said defensively at her arched eyebrow.
Whoever wrote their race's summary was an idiot. I bumped into one of these guys back there and he apologized. They're about the same damn level of violence as Canadians, let me tell you that.
Nori fought to hide her smile and looked back at the bewildered alien on the view screen. Captain Cornuputi, we come from a nearby system, the Sol system.
I am familiar with it. Last I heard, it was a protected, unintegrated system.
It is now. We humans are currently working toward improving conditions back on Earth, our home planet. We humans are currently working toward improving conditions back on Earth, our home planet. We have a bit of a warped problem, you see. We could use the help of a friendly ship.
That is an intriguing offer, Nori, but I'm afraid my crew isn't equipped to handle the warped. They are too dangerous.
You don't have to stay on the ground.
Nope.
You don't have to stay on the ground, Lana said. There's an XR space station orbiting the planet, and we happen to know that Alzygo, the owner, would be delighted to host you. Plus, Nori added, his docking fees are significantly lower than Hammerhead.
That is tempting.
Earth is also rich in aluminum, Lana said. You'll be able to use your equipment to produce and sell trinium. Our friends back home would be delighted to do business with you.
That is an interesting offer. I will think on it.
Nori nodded. It is, of course, your call. If you decide to take our offer, you can contact our faction's representative on Hammerhead for details. Lana, forward him Diamond's information. Sure thing, Captain.
You have given me something to think... You have given me something to think about, the Cough answered. Whatever will come of it, know that the Hailer will always consider you our friends.
Likewise, Nora replied with a smile. Nori replied.
Nope.
Nori replied with a smile. Good luck out there, whatever you decide. It's time for us to go.
Safe voyage, Unity.
Unity's controls materialized around her fingers as she guided the ship away from the asteroid. Once they were out of sensor range, the ship began changing, assuming her normal freighter form, allowing her thrusters to reach maximum speed. All right, crew. Nori turned back to her friends. We have some decisions to make.
Arg, exactly 70 minutes. Arg!
How's everybody doing in the audience here? Chapter 8. Prospecting. Lana's fingers flew over her consoles.
I've started the restructuring process.
The main view screen changed to show the ship's underbelly, where lumps of metal began to accumulate to slowly spread over the hull.
Estimated time for completion, 5 hours, 12 minutes, Unity said. That's enough time for us to figure out our next mining site, Nori said. But first, Lana, can you display our cargo manifest? Sure thing.
A moment later, the view screen image changed to display large letters.
19 tons trinium, 22 tons palladium, 40 kilograms mithril, 2 tons aluminum. This is the amount of trinium we have left after restructuring and helping the Hailer, Lana explained. We originally produced 31.2 tons of the stuff, which used up 6 tons of our aluminum supply and all the nickel iron we had sitting around.
Nori nodded.
All right, that leaves plenty of room for mining.
The astrometric lab worked that well, huh? The astrometric lab worked that well, huh? Bulko asked with a grin. What? You're thinking we're gonna find 100 tons of nadirium out there?
If more room is required, we can always eject an abnormally large human. If more room is required, we can always eject an abnormally large human specimen.
Or, Bulko said in a dangerous tone, I can get rid of some spare parts, like your voice modulator. I know where it is now. There was a long silence. Wait. Hold up. Bulko looked up. Did I just get the last word in? More silence. Guess I did. He smirked.
Not at all. Not at all.
Unity finally replied.
I've simply relocated the modulator.
What, wait? You can do that? Wait. Wait. You can do that?
My soulmate's latest path crossroad enables me a more... My soulmate's latest path crossroad enables me a more... My soulmate's latest path crossroad enables me a more organic-like... My soulmate's latest path crossroad enables me a more organic-like physical growth.
I don't know of any organic life forms who can relocate their internals.
Actually...
Lana started, but stopped when everyone looked at her.
Never mind.
How about we call it even? Bulko suggested. How about we call it even?
I hardly think...
There are plenty of other spare parts I can dig out, you know.
Even sounds reasonable. Bulko grinned. If you're finished?
Nori raised her eyebrow and turned back to her console. A moment later, a map of the asteroid field appeared over all 3 large view screens. Flight paths began to appear between them, then more and more, until the whole screen looked plastered with spaghetti.
That is a lot of data,
Lana said. Nori sighed.
That's just the stuff I managed to sift through until now. There's so much more information, and the new computer keeps spitting out more. The problem is, most of it is useless.
Lana frowned.
How come? Rotula's equation only takes into account celestial body movement. It doesn't factor in external intervention.
Nori tapped her console and some lines colored themselves differently.
Some of these lead to asteroids that were already strip-mined. Some lead into claimed faction territory, and some lead to others that were destroyed, which affected the movement patterns of others. In short, it's a mess. Oh, and there's no guarantee for the amount of nadirium in each location. Only that it's there.
So it can theoretically lead us into an asteroid with a single gram of nadirium? Caddy asked.
Nori nodded.
Pretty much. I think I can help.
Lana turned back to her consoles, her hands operating independently.
I'm bringing up documented ship flight paths. I've downloaded from Hammerhead's archives, cross-referencing to manifest... I'm bringing up documented ship flight paths I've downloaded from Hammerhead's archives.
Damn it.
I'm bringing up documented ship flight paths I've downloaded from Hammerhead's archives, cross-referencing to manifest reports containing nadirium, and adding a filter to Nori's result, and...
The lines on display were visibly reduced by a third.
Not bad,
Nori said approvingly, checking her console.
I can work your algorithm into the astrometric lab to filter out future results.
There's still too many for us to follow, Bulko noted.
I know,
Nori said.
we'll have to sift through the rest by hand as we visit the destinations. I should be able to adjust the filters once we know what each result looks like, so with each asteroid we visit, we'll receive more focused results.
So, where are we headed next? Caddy asked.
Nori tapped her console. The closest target is less than an hour away. Setting course. Thrusters to full. And we're off.
Time passed quickly as they flew through the asteroid field, occasionally correcting their course as Unity's sensors detected nearby ships. Soon enough, they approached their target.
Ah, Bulko said. I think I spot one problem with that. one.
It's so tiny,
Caddy chuckled.
a mini-stroid. Approximate size 6 cubic meters,
Unity said.
It's the size of a Volkswagen, Bulko added. We can just as easily stuff it into the cargo hold. You know, if it wasn't filled with machinery.
The prospector scanner picks up a high nadirium concentration,
Lana said.
1.2%.
That's not too bad, Caddy said. That piece of rock still weighs several tons, which means... What, a few dozen kilos of nadirium?
Lana shook her head. That concentration value refers to a specific nadirium deposit, which I now understand comes in concentrated pockets, not the entire asteroid. The pocket here is barely a patch of ground. I'm guessing we can get maybe a kilo of raw nadirium in total.
Nori shook her head.
Not worth our time, but still not a complete loss. Now that I know what it looks like, I'm adjusting the filter parameters to discount asteroids smaller than Unity. There.
The lines on the view screen were visibly reduced, leaving only a few dozen.
All right, setting course for the next nearest target. This one is 2 hours away.
The flight once again passed without incident. The asteroid they arrived at was definitely larger than before, about the size of a city block.
Scanning,
Lana said. Then her face fell.
Oh.
What? Caddy asked.
This asteroid's composition is 62% copper, which is as cheap as dirt, and 0.002% nadirium.
Nori shook her head.
Another bust. But good input to have. It's not enough for me to trim down the results, though. I need to compare it to a larger sample size.
Guess that means we're continuing with our leisurely sightseeing tour in space. I'm starting to feel like a tourist here.
Nori nodded. I'm setting a course to a different part of the field. There are closer hits, but the new area has several close targets, so we'll be able to scan more of them in a short time. My new path evolution helps with figuring out things like this.
Unity's thrusters hummed as she flashed past the copper-filled asteroid.
That's gonna take us another 5 hours. The new section would be finished in 1,
Unity said. Bulko got up from his seat and stretched.
Almost time for me to do my magic. I'm gonna gather some tools. Cirque, you coming, buddy?
The mech knight nodded and followed the large man out of the bridge. After a moment's hesitation, Nathan joined them. Caddy looked glumly at the two other women, keeping themselves busy at their consoles.
We need more entertainment around here.
Whoa. Thank you, Margus. Lexilaner says, hi, I want to offer promotion of your channel, viewers, followers, views, chatbots. The price is lower than any competitor. All right, Lexilaner, go fuck yourself. Thank you. Goddamn bots.
Bulko stared in amazement as, one by one, the large machines occupying the hangar were absorbed into the floor.
Now that's new.
Nathan smiled. Unity can now understand new technology better when she absorbs things. Unity can now understand new technology better when she absorbs things, then reconstitutes herself. Unity can now understand new technology better when she absorbs things, then reconstitutes it herself. The engineer shook his head.
Let's head down to the new floor and check it out. Let's head down to the new floor and check it out.
They moved to the back end of the hangar, next to the wall separating it from the bridge, where a new circular section was etched in the metal floor. The three stood on the circle which descended, leading to the new floor. The three stood on the circle which descended, leading to the new floor. The new section was huge, larger than the hangar above, as it also stretched below the area reserved for the engine and workshops. They took in the voluminous space.
Let me make sure. I always need to recheck that. Oh, thank you, John Doe. Really appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying listening here. Let's see.
They took in.
Gonna look up voluminous. I like to say voluminous, but I don't think that's correct.
Voluminous.
Boring. Okay.
They took in the voluminous space. Various machines started growing out of the floor, like pieces of forgotten relics rising from the mud.
I guess that saves us the trouble of moving them by hand, but... No! Come on, girl. You can't put the furnace next to the photonic No! I guess that saves us the trouble of moving them by hand, but... No! Come on, girl. You can't put the furnace next to the photonic combiner? That's an inefficient production line. Here.
He walked around, plotting the right location for each of the new machinery, and... He walked around, plotting the right location for each piece of the new machinery, and, for once, Unity obeyed without interruptions. The engineer cracked his neck, and the 4 robotic arms of his augmentation kit appeared out of his body.
Let's get to work. Let's get to work.
There we go.
Nori pressed down on the ship's comlink.
Bulko, we're approaching the next coordinates. How are things looking?
Dark and sweaty, he grunted in reply. Dark and sweaty. We still got plenty of work ahead of us. You girls do your thing up there. Let the guys do theirs down here.
All right. Nori smiled. Lana, there are 4 asteroids in this area. You handle the scans while I bring us close to each one.
Aye, aye, Captain,
the expert said, already operating her controls. The first 3 asteroids had too low nadirium composition to be worth the effort. The 4th had pockets of relatively high concentration, but the celestial body itself was so huge, several times the size of Hammerhead Station, that simply digging down to the pockets made the whole process impractical.
I'm guessing this last place would be a good spot for establishing an adirium extracting facility.
Lana sighed.
Let's try that again.
I'm guessing this last place would be a good spot for establishing an adirium extracting facility.
Lana sighed.
But it's not the right setup for us.
Nori shook her head. It's all good data. I think I have enough information to trim down the results to something manageable. She operated her light console, and after a moment, all the paths on... She operated her light console, and after a moment, all the paths on the screen, save 2, disappeared.
I'd call it manageable,
Lana said,
then frowned. The closest asteroid is about 10 hours away, but the second one is...
She winced.
Too many hours. It's 200 AU away.
A smile tugged at Nori's lip.
AU? AU? Astronomical unit. It's the distance... Astronomical unit. It's the distance from Earth to the Sun. About 150,000 kilometers.
I know what AU means. Pilot, remember? I'm just amused that you're using the term.
We're a spaceship crew. Seems right to use spaceshipy terms.
Nori nodded, the faint smile still on her lips. You're right. On thrusters alone, that's over a week's travel. We'll have to do that one on our next null tunnel pass through the system. Setting course to the other asteroid. She stood to her feet and stretched, an audible crack coming from her back. As comfy as these seats are, I need some exercise. You're welcome to join me in my room. Coming from her back. Where'd it go? Lana flinched.
Me? Exercise?
It's good for the body.
I have tiny alien nanobots taking care of that.
The soul, then.
If it's all the same to you, Captain, I'd much rather work out my soul with a good book.
Nori shrugged. Your call. Caddy? She looked around.
She left the bridge 2 hours ago.
Lana volunteered.
Muttered something about starting a rec room.
Caddy? Caddy? Nori pressed a finger to her comm implant. There was no response. Caddy? She tried again, and frowned when there was no answer. Lana? The expert quickly clicked a few buttons and frowned.
She's at one of the unassigned workrooms on the second floor, and I detect 200 kilograms of trinium diverted for restructuring.
The two women exchanged looks. You think she really... Only one way to find out, Nori said. Follow me. The two stepped up through the walkway leading from the bridge to the second floor. They passed the open galley and by the crew cabins. Reaching the row of 5 doors at the end. The biotinker peered his head through the open door of the medbay. Hey, what's going on? Hey, what's going on? Hey, what's going on? Have you seen Caddy? She passed through here a few hours ago.
The last room,
Lana said, and the two, joined by the doctor, walked on and opened the last door. Sounds and flashing lights poured out. A music video playing on high volume projected on a hollow monitor that took up the entire back wall. A metallic foosball table stood to the side, next to a not-quite-so-complete pool table. The culprit herself was lounging on something that looked like a part recliner, part bench, holding a huge glass of pink liquid, and wearing sunglasses.
Oh, hey guys! How do you like our new playroom?
After Nori gave the wayward Jaeger a lecture on disengaging her private comm implant, which was mostly deflected by, I would have heard the ship-wide comms if there was an emergency, they finally took the time to inspect the new chamber. Where did you get the music videos from? Nori asked, bemused, though still a bit annoyed.
Oh, I got a bunch of recordings for this trip. I uploaded all the songs I could find into Unity's database, along with every digital movie I could get my hands on. It wasn't hard. I just looted all the portable storage devices I found in Lana and Nathan's old dormitory and copied everything they had on. Incidentally, we might also have a large collection of, shall we call it, human mating documentaries? I'd be careful with my search terms if I were you.
Lana instantly went beet red, while Nori simply pinched her nose. Lana instantly went beet red, while Nori simply pinched her nose. Lana instantly went beet red, while Nori simply pinched her nose bridge with a sigh.
I guess it's not a bad idea to have a place to kick back while we're waiting to reach our next destination. Just, keep it PG-13 in here.
Why? I mean, who cares?
Keep it PG-13 in here. You got it, Captain.
Caddy saluted with her pink glass.
I guess it would be pointless to invite you to work out with me then. Yeah. Sorry about that, but my girl Miley is up next.
Nori simply shook her head and left. Lana looked around and then focused on the other woman's glass.
You have another one of those?
The Jaeger gave her a wide grin.
Just a whole case. Have a seat, Brainiac.
"10 hours later, they met back at the bridge, this time with the 2 new crew members in tow.
Everyone get a chance to rest up and grab something to eat?
Nori asked.
Because hopefully this is the one we've been looking for.
I grabbed a coffee, but not much rest, Bulko grumbled. But at least we're done. You can barely fit a finger down there now. I grabbed a coffee, but not much else. I grabbed a coffee, but not much rest, Bulko grumbled.
The engineer was covered in dark smudges. Cirque and Nathan, though somewhat dirty, looked pristine compared to him.
You'd think futuristic technology won't need so much grease all over.
That is not grease, Unity said. The sludge is a carbon biosynthesized compound which helps maintain the seal and helps with mending microfractures.
Oops.
It's a byproduct excreted when the tech in the systems comes in contact with carbon dioxide.
Excrete. Byproduct. Bulko muttered, frowning. You want to tell me I'm covered in your excrement?
Why did I get bleep blooped? Oh wow, you guys are busy in here. I will review the chat when I'm back. When I'm done with this chat.
Excrement? Excrement? Where'd it go? All right.
I assure you, you've been covered in much worse since we've met.
Ha. Freakin' ha. Captain, all the new smelting equipment is hooked up and ready to go. Ha. Freakin' Ha. Captain, all the new smelting equipment is hooked up. Damn it. Ha, freaking ha. Captain, all the new smelting equipment is hooked up and ready to go. It directly feeds and circles back into Unity's internal storage capacitor, so she should be able to convert mined nadirium as soon as it comes in. Now, if y'all excuse me, I'm gonna take a shower.
You really should. Don't forget to use plenty of soap.
How about I stuff a bar of soap into your modulator?
That would be a waste. I'm not covered in someone else's excrements.
Grumbling to himself, Bulko left the bridge.
Lana?
Nori asked.
Are we in range for the prospecting scanner yet? Yes, Captain. This is a good-size asteroid for us. About 2 city blocks. I'm reading multiple pockets of nadirium. Concentration ranging from 0.5 to 1.7%. Jackpot! Any sign of other ships in the area?
Lana shook her head.
No. It looks like this area of the asteroid field was shallowly surveyed and discarded, as most of the nearby asteroids contain lower-grade minerals. We're in the clear. Excellent. I'm bringing us down.
Unity's holographic manual controls. Unity's holographic manual controls materialized around the captain's fingers as she angled the ship down to the asteroid.
Engage alter mode. Yes, Captain,
Unity's soft voice answered. The bulkhead stretched as Unity assumed her wasp-like The bulkhead stretched as Unity assumed her wasp-like shape. The insect-looking ship touched down lightly, her legs buckling only slightly as they absorbed her momentum. The circular head lowered over a spot highlighted by the prospecting scanner, and the bright yellow halo of the mining drill shot out, eating into the asteroid's surface.
This pocket has 0.8% nadirium composition,
Lana said.
which means we should be able to get 80 kilograms of raw nadirium in an hour. What about the rest of the asteroid?
Nori asked.
No.
Lana pored over her readings.
I'm reading 3 other major pockets. Our prospecting scanner doesn't have a high enough resolution. Our prospecting scanner doesn't have a high enough resolution to gauge the available mass correctly, but going with a rough prediction, we can expect to extract something north of 500 kilos of raw nadirium in about 6 hours.
Caddy gasped, her eyes shining.
That's a lot, right?
Lana nodded.
If our new equipment works as expected, we can produce 2.5 tons of erodium, which we can sell back on Hammerhead for a cool 1.5 million PiTec.
That sounds like a lot of erodium, Judy suddenly spoke.
Any chance I could get a sample to study in my lab?
Sure, Nori said.
This character, that's like all she does. Can I get a sample? Can I get a sample? Can I get a sample? Oh, can I sample that?
Nori said.
We're also extracting some other minerals along the way.
Lana kept studying her monitors.
Mostly cobalt. Huh. I wonder if it's valuable around here.
Cirque shook his head. Not significantly, though it's one of the main components of palladium.
The mineral composition around here isn't sufficient to synthesize palladium,
Unity said.
Therefore, the base mineral is being stored for future use.
A sense of excitement spread over the crew as Unity finished mining the first pocket and headed to the next. They were literally mining up money, and the exhilaration of finally finding rich deposits made them almost giddy with expectation as they moved from one spot to the next. Bulko returned to the bridge sometime later, assuming his seat.
Nadirium is flowing where it should. Nadirium is flowing where it should, he noted as he studied his screen. The new equipment connection looks steady. Man, it takes a lot of heat to refine the stuff. And there it goes into the erodium assembling machine. We're lucky this rock also has everything else required for making this alloy. And we've just produced our first ingot of erodium.
A cheer broke out around the bridge as everyone exclaimed and clapped their hands.
All right,
Nori said. A rare, wide smile spread on her mostly stoic face.
good job, everyone. Lana, you especially. Your plan worked?
Caddy raised her hand.
I said it would work even before she told us what it was.
They watched the production numbers rise as Unity kept mining the asteroid. The excitement and energy continued as they broke through the first ton and reached the next.
That's it!
Lana exclaimed several hours later.
We've mined all the pockets. All that remains is nadirium residue throughout the asteroid that would require a permanent mining facility to extract. In total, we've mined 572 kilos of raw nadirium, which was converted into a whopping 2,860 kilos of erodium. We can sell it for 1,716,000 PiTec on Hammerhead. Woohoo! We've just returned our initial investment and then some. Oh, and we also have 15 tons of cobalt.
All right, that's great news, Nori said. Now for the, less good ones. All eyes turned to her. Nori grimaced. With all the extra filtering parameters, I estimate it will take the astrometric lab to spit out a new actionable location anywhere between 4 to 12 standard days. We have another destination marked, but we'll have to get to it next time. We pass through this system since it's too far for thrusters.
What's the plan, boss?
Let's head back to Hammerhead and touch base with Diamond. Hopefully, he's had enough time to find more leads for us to follow. Then we can decide how to continue.
Sounds like a plan.
Unity resumed her normal freighter form and leaped into space as Nori guided them back toward the station. All right, the course is set, the pilot said. We'll reach Hammerhead in just under 7 hours. The visor covering Nathan's face retracted, revealing the young man's frown. Something is wrong. I detect. Unity's voice sounded unsure. There is something else nearby. Lana's eyes widened as red indicators flashed over her monitors.
Our sensors picked up the pattern the Hailer has sent us. There are pirates nearby.
You sure about that? Nori frowned. I don't see anything out there except the asteroids.
The sensors aren't picking up any ships, but the pattern gets stronger by the second. We're heading straight their way.
They're probably hiding behind one of the asteroids. Nori said grimly, masking their signature as Captain Cornuputi said.
Cornuputi.
She entered a rapid sequence into her console, and Unity banked hard to the left, skittering a nearby asteroid.
What are you doing?
Bulko asked, nervously eyeing the giant flying rock.
I kinda like the paint job as it is, and you know, keeping all the... keeping all other internal components inside.
It looks like the other ship is lurking along our path to Hammerhead, the captain explained, eyes never leaving her monitors. Bulko, I need you to transfer artificial gravity control to my station. I think it's time to see what my new field flyer path can do. Bulko frowned, but his fingers thrummed over his console.
Done, Captain. But what do you... Holy shit!
Unity shot forward. Nori threaded the ship between two small asteroids, their exhaust leaving the two space rocks rotating to come smashing together. The mining freighter sped on, spinning around an asteroid somewhat bigger than her, increasing its rotation before shooting forward and nearly skipping over a trail of gravel-like field of tiny rocks.
Let's try that again.
The mining freighter sped on.
Okay, why?
The mining freighter sped on, spinning around an asteroid somewhat bigger than her, increasing its rotation before shooting forward and nearly skipping over a trail of a gravel-like field of tiny rocks, sending them scattering forward.
What the hell are you doing, girl?
Bulko asked, his fingers grabbing his chair as some G-forces made it through the ship's inertial dampeners, pressing them all back. Lana's eyes widened.
She's interrupting the asteroid's gravity field using Unity's projecting it outward when we skirt the ground.
Nori nodded, not taking her eyes off her screens. Most asteroids have a very small gravity, depending on their size and composition. When we get close enough, I can configure Unity's artificial gravity to interfere with theirs. If timed just right, I can do this. If timed just right, I can do this. She punched down the controls, and asteroids smashed against each other. Some burst apart, and some were sent hurtling forward in a huge spray of rock and gravel that raced behind the speeding ship.
I detect a new vessel heading toward our direct path,
Lana said.
They just came out from behind an asteroid.
The view screen flickered to display a ship roughly twice Unity's size. The hull looked like it had seen better days, covered with patchwork seams, but the forward twin cannons looked dark and ominous in the expert's opinion. All right, there's a new character here. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and make up a voice. And if it turns out I'm wrong, I'll revisit it. Let's see.
Unity!
Unity. Unity. Unity.
A commanding voice spoke over the comms.
Power down your engine, or we will open fire.
Eat this,
Nori muttered, and snapped back both arms, her fingers curled into fists. Unity's nose pulled up, performing a perfect back loop that put her at the center of the hurtling space rocks. A few metallic bangs echoed across the bridge.
We're okay,
Bulko said, his voice thick.
Just some scrapes and bruises from small rocks. The hull is holding out all... Just some scrapes and bruises from small rocks. The hull is holding out all right, but I wouldn't want to test it against the bigger ones. Just some scrapes and bruises from small rocks. The hull is holding out all right, but I wouldn't want to test it against the bigger ones.
Neither would they.
Nori gestured at the view screen. The pirate ship was trying to dodge the incoming avalanche. It managed to dodge the larger asteroid. It managed to dodge the larger asteroid at the front, but was quickly pelted by the smaller rocks that bounced off her hull. The ominous cannons flared, but were quickly proven less resilient than the rest of the ship. They received several bumps that bent them out of shape, the light they emitted flickering before dying out completely. Unity shot past the pirates, riding the wave, as the other ship desperately tried to dodge the larger chunks while continually being pelted by the smaller pieces that further dented their beaten hull.
Woohoo!
Bulko exclaimed.
That's hella good flying, girl!
Nori grinned, eyes full of excitement. I didn't even know I could do that. My path score just increased by 1 to 29. My new path highlights a dozen possible flight patterns and shows me how to navigate the debris, using them to our advantage. Level 10 is...
Level 10 is no joke, the engineer nodded, though mine doesn't seem quite as useful.
How did you know Unity was all right when we got hit? Nathan asked with a gentle smile.
The internal scanner.
He paused, his brows furrowed as he slowly added,
I didn't use it.
Nathan's smile grew.
Oh, shit,
the large man groaned, clasping both hands over his head.
I thought she was playing mind games with me before. I just hadn't realized the scope, or how literal, these mind games would be.
What do you mean, big guy? Caddy asked.
My path. I can sense what's going on. And now that I'm aware of it, I know where I need to send the repair drones to fix the dents. I can tell there's an oscillator out of sync by 2% in the engine room.
So, what's the problem?
I'm pretty sure Unity can sense me in return. Oh,
I can. Unity's voice sounded almost smug. And I sympathize with your plight. I sense a significant increase in the short intestine pressure, and I estimate that you are about 6 seconds from soiling your pants.
Bloody har.
I think we're in the clear, Nori intervened. The pirates made it out of the wave, but they're not pursuing. We'll be long gone by the time they'll get themselves moving again.
You know, if they're just sitting there, dead in the water, we can circle back and get rid of the problem. We'll be doing the whole system a favor.
I like it. God damn it. Kit. Caddy grinned. Think about the loot. We can't just murder them in cold blood, Lana protested. Cirque nodded.
The science officer is correct. We should deliver them to Hammerhead's authority.
Right.
Lana brightened.
We can use our grapplers to tow them back.
Nori mulled it over. Cirque, do you think you can make sure their cannons are destroyed without blowing up the whole ship? The Akai nodded.
If you get me close enough.
That can be dangerous. They might have other weapons we can't see to use against us.
Lana?
None that I've detected.
Then we're doing it. I'm bringing us about, Cirque. Lock on their cannons. They watched in silence as Nori guided Unity back to the immobile vessel. Which grew larger on the view screen by the second.
We'll be in range for a precision shot in 5 seconds,
Cirque said.
I'm picking up something.
Lana exclaimed. On the screen, a port opened on the side of their target, and a tube-shaped device hurtled out.
It's a missile! It's a missile!
Bulko roared. Nori instantly put Unity into a spin, but the incoming projectile matched their movement.
It's locked onto us! I can't shake it!
Fuck off. Are you kidding me?
It's locked onto us! I can't shake it!
There was a flash of red, and a moment later, there was no sign of the pursuing missile.
Target destroyed, Captain,
Cirque reported calmly. There was another flash of red.
And their cannons are now as well. And their cannons are now as well.
Unity!
The urgent voice coming from the comm was full of static. The urgent voice coming from the comm was full of static.
Don't shoot! We surrender. Don't!
Nori narrowed her eyes. Pirate ship, we are going to drag you back to Hammerhead and hand you back to the authorities. We'll have our ship's weapons locked on you throughout the trip. If there's any sign of any suspicious activity or any If there's any sign of suspicious activity or any port opening, we'll target your power core. Understood?
Understood, Unity. Bunch of assholes.
Lana, I'll need you to keep a sharp eye on them until we reach the station. Cirque, I need you to be ready to open fire the instant she picks up any suspicious activity.
Yes, Captain.
Yes, Captain.
Nori nodded and guided Unity to a stationary position above the enemy ship. 2 grappling hooks connected to thick wires shot out, locking on the other ship's hull. Locking on the other ship's hull. Bulko studied his consoles.
The connection is secure. We're good to go.
Nori nodded. Let's get back to the station. They started flying, towing the larger vessel behind them.
That was...
Lana hesitated.
Did that feel... too easy to anyone else?
I'm not sure my experience amounts to much, Leonard said weakly, but that felt pretty risky to me. Do you go up against enemy ships often?
Feels like about every other time we pass through here.
I mean, it's only been a few months since we've learned how to use the tech. Barely 2 months since we've gotten Unity, and already we're fighting and beating aliens who did this their whole life.
Experience matters, Cirque agreed. But the tech and levels are the great equalizers. We're likely among the highest level miners in the system, and if Unity is far from being a simple mining vessel...
Nope.
We're likely among the highest level miners in the system, and Unity is far from being a simple mining vessel. Despite your short time in the enlightened galaxy, the resources and technology that we carry give us a significant advantage.
Let's hope it'll be enough against what's coming for us, Nori said. The dark reminder caused everyone to quiet down as the ship plowed on through. Fuck off. As the ship plowed on through. Quiet down as the ship plowed on through. Oh man, you guys have been chatting. I love it when you guys are active in the chat.
Excuse me, guys. Sorry. Trying to get through as fast as I can. Cool. You guys are having a fun conversation. All right. Dragging a ship twice the size of Unity didn't significantly slow their progress over such a short distance, and they made it back without further issues. Bulko nodded appreciatively. Let me get some water. Wait, you recorded that guy getting trampled by a moose? And you fucking posted it to Facebook? Psycho Bitches 2 is already out, John Doe. Here. Well, I can't give you the link right now, but... Yeah, I need to get back into tea. I've been ignoring the tea. I've been just doing doing coffee. And I don't think that's good. Jesus, did you call anybody? Did you call the cops or anybody about the dude getting trampled? Can't imagine he's in any kind of good shape. Appreciatively.
Our Grade D core showed its worth. Even powering up the heavy smelting equipment, there's still plenty of...
That is not the way that should be structured.
Our Grade D core showed its worth. Even powering up the heavy smelting equipment, there's still plenty of juice left for engines.
Hammerhead is hailing us,
Lana reported. Nori nodded. Let's hear it.
Unity, this is Hammerhead Control. Please explain the ship you're towing. We're unable to receive an identification tag from it.
Lana. Got it,
The expert said.
Hammerhead Control, this is Unity. The other ship attacked us on our way back from a mining expedition. We were able to disable and take them captive. I'm forwarding you our flight and sensor logs to corroborate.
Received, Unity. Please stand by.
A few long moments passed before a response arrived, this time in the form of a woman's severe voice, which Lana thought sounded in Thidlon. Which Lana thought sounded in Thidlon.
Unity, this is Hammerhead. Unity, this is Hammerhead's Chief of Security. We've corroborated your story. The ship you've brought us has been linked to recent pirating... We've corroborated your story. The ship you've brought has been linked to recent pirating activities in the asteroid field. Security vessels are heading your way. Please release your grappling hooks and surrender them to our custody.
Nori nodded and worked her light consoles, disengaging the grapplers from the beaten pirate vessel. 3 small gunships appeared, made their way over, and took position around the captured ship. A shimmer of golden force field projected out of them, locking around the larger vessel as the gunships towed her away.
Thank you for your cooperation, Unity.
The security chief spoke again.
There's a standing bounty on pirates. I'll make sure your faction is contacted after we finish our investigation.
Another pause.
I see you're not part of the local mining factions. That explains why your ship was targeted. Does your faction have a contact point on the station? We're part of the Earth Force,
Lana replied.
We have an embassy in the Metrodome. Diamond is our contact. Forwarding you his details. Acknowledged, Unity. Thanks again for your help. Well, well.
Caddy rubbed her hands.
A bounty? How much do you think they'll fork over?
If I know Hammerhead, they'll probably give us a discount on our docking fees. A bunch of cheapskates. A bunch of cheapskates.
Unity?
The original voice of the station control spoke up.
You're clear to dock. Your previous docking bay is still available for the next 11 hours. Forwarding you a flight path.
Thanks, Hammerhead,
Lana said, as Nori guided the ship forward. A few moments later, they heard the telltale sounds of the station's clumps closing around Unity's rear as they docked.
All right,
Caddy said with a glint of greed in her eyes.
Let's convert all that useless metal into sweet PiTec. Not just yet,
Nori interjected. Let's go meet with Diamond first.
Ah,
Nori offered her familiar, crooked smile. No need to limit our options. We can always sell the cargo later. Lana, what's the going sale price for cobalt? The expert convoluted. Probably means consulted. The expert consulted her monitors.
The station will buy it at 120 PiTec per ton. That's not much. We might as well keep it in case we need it. We have no shortage of available cargo space.
Agreed, Nori said.
Come on,
let's go pay Diamond a visit. If it's all the same to you, Leonard said, a bit nervously, I think I'll stay on Unity. Same, Judy said. I'm not keen on getting shot again.
That's not likely to happen again.
Not likely has an uncomfortable ring of possibility, the scientist retorted. Regardless, I still want to test our collected samples. I'll stay too, Nathan said. Sure. Nori got up. See you later. Well, hot damn. Back at Earth Force Embassy, their rotund diplomat was shaking his head as they reiterated the details of their voyage. You kids are something else. You guys made a killing and took out a pirate ship? Nori shrugged. Just a confluence of circumstances. We were lucky to have met with the Hailer. Without their forewarning, we might have been taken over. Diamond kept shaking his head. Still, that's one hell of an accomplishment for less than a full rotation. He winced. Listen to me. Only been here for several weeks. Listen to me. Only been here for several weeks and I already sound like a native. Anything you managed to learn in the meantime? He nodded and stepped behind his metal desk, plopping his extensive backside on the chair that grew up to accommodate him. A light console flickered before him, and a small hollow monitor opened above the desk, depicting an unknown section of space.
This is the Gamma Pavonis system, about 31 light-years away from Earth, a bit less from Hammerhead. This is the Gamma Pavonis system, about 31 light-years away from Earth, a bit less from Hammerhead. This is the largest industrial and commercial system in this cluster. You'll have to travel over 200 light-years to find a decent competitor.
What's a cluster, boss?
Caddy asked. As far as I understand, a grouping of star systems that somehow differs from other groupings.
Basically,
they're groups of stars bound by gravitational pull,
Lana added. Lana added.
Right. What she said. Anyway, from what I gathered, this is the place to go for anyone looking to do some serious hardware shopping. They have a large variety and of a higher grade than Hammerhead.
Bulko raised an eyebrow. That's it? It took you almost 2 days to find the local space mall? Diamond grunted.
No, you ingrate brat. I've done some extra digging. I'm still working on establishing myself. I'm not exactly what you would call well-connected here. Being the main supplier of aluminum on the station helps, but it's slow. Anyway, I found that you can't do any significant business on Bright. That's the name of their mall planet, without the proper commercial license.
How do we get one?
Lana asked.
I was getting to that. Anyone can get a basic license if they have a ship. Anyone can get a basic license if they have a ship and some capital to prove they mean business. Anyone can get a basic license if they have a ship and some capital to prove they mean business. To get better ones, you'll need to be vouched by one of their local merchant factions.
Great. More faction-only space racism. I get tired of them pointing out we're not part of the local mining faction every time an alien opens its mouth.
Diamond shook his head. It shouldn't be that big of a problem. From what I gathered, erodium goes a long way on Bright. If you play your cards right, you should be able to leverage your recent success to get a good footing there. If you play your cards right, you should be able to leverage your recent success to get a good footing there. From what I gather, you can also sell erodium at a higher price there, too.
That makes sense, Nori said. Hammerhead has a monopoly on the supply of erodium. They handle shipping it to other systems, so it makes sense they charge more than they pay to the local miners. They handle shipping it to other systems, so it makes sense they charge more than they pay to the local miners.
Correct.
It's not exactly a short trip.
Lana frowned, activating her wrist console.
It will take Unity 5.5 days to make the trip from Hammerhead, almost 6 to return to Earth. Any more information about the Eater of Worlds or other system lords we can try to ally ourselves with?
Nori asked. Diamond shook his head.
That sort of know-how is top tier. My path opens a lot of doors for me, but it's not a magic solution. It will take time, if such information is even available in a place like Hammerhead.
Sounds like you might do better coming along to Gamma Pavonis,
Caddy suggested. Diamond shook his head.
Hammerhead is the closest commercial center to Earth. This is our first channel of communication and supply with the rest of the galaxy. We have to maintain a presence here. You kids are our irregulars. It's your job to go further than the rest of us.
If we manage to get a connection on Gamma Pavonis, we might need to establish a presence there as well. If we manage to get a connection on Gamma Pavonis, we might need to establish a presence there as well.
Perhaps. But it's your job to sniff out the new digs.
Understood. If that's all, we have a long trip ahead of us.
Diamond's monitor chimed, and he raised a finger.
Hang on a sec. Station security just sent me a report on the pirate ship you've captured.
His eyebrows rose as he kept reading.
Interesting. They've confiscated the stolen goods from the vessel, so that's gone. But the ship itself goes to you.
He looked up.
You can either sell it to the station for 200,000 PiTec or keep it. But there's an estimation here saying it'll take 600,000 PiTec to restore it to full working order. Huh.
A vessel like that's... A vessel like that's worth at least 3 million PiTec fully repaired.
Cirque noted. I say we keep it. I say we keep it. I say we keep it. I say we keep it.
Bulko said. Nori flicked a stray dreadlock off her face.
I agree investing in repairs would be more profitable in the long run. The council back home did ask us to get new ships, but we're going to need all the PiTec we can get when we reach Gamma Pavonis.
There's a bit of good news in that department, Diamond added. Looks like the pirate captain and 2 of his crew were flagged for crimes and had bounties for their capture. The station just forwarded 120,000 PiTec to your account.
Nori checked her master wrist console.
That puts our total account at exactly 600,000 PiTec.
She looked up.
Anyone else think it's... Anyone else think it's a sign? Anyone else think it's a sign?
Providence, Cirque said, his large eyes suddenly very bright. Bulko shook his head.
I don't believe in a higher power. It's just chance. But one that makes our decision easier. I vote to keep the pirate ship or patch her up.
Nori nodded.
I agree. Objections?
Lana and Nathan shook their heads.
Caddy? I mean, we could use the extra money to upgrade our armory, but we still have a cargo hold full of erodium, so I guess no objections for me, Captain.
If anything, we should spend some money and buy an energy shield emitter for Unity. If anything, we should spend some money and buy an energy shield emitter for Unity. If anything, we should... If anything, we should spend some money and buy an energy shield emitter for Unity.
Fuck me.
Unity. If anything, we should spend some money and buy an energy shield emitter for Unity. We've been shot at with energy weapons a bit too often for my taste. Our plating is good, but it's more suited to absorb physical damage. But, as Caddy said, we can sell our erodium and decide what to spend it on when we reach that space mall.
Nori agreed.
Nope. Not gonna do that.
I agree.
Nori tapped her wrist console.
I approved the funds for the repairs. I approved the funds for the repairs. Diamond, it will probably be ready long before we have a chance to get back. Can you make sure it reaches Earth once it's ready? You might need to hire a crew. We don't exactly have the PiTec for that.
The rotund diplomat shook his head.
There's no need. I'm the aluminum baron around here, remember? Sending the ship back home won't be a problem.
That's good. Thanks, Diamond.
Hey, girl. That's my world, too, remember? Anyway, you kids better get going. You got a long road ahead of you.
The diplomat saw them back to the docking tower, then shook hands with each of them before they entered the elevator.
Good luck out there, kids. The whole world is counting on you.
He grinned suddenly.
No pressure.
got, 23 pages in? It's 3:51. I think I'm going to try one more chapter. So I'll be right back. I got to blow my nose. I did say business. What's up, Fayway? I don't know if I've seen you here before, but thanks for coming. I read from the book, but we do convert scripts. We do convert books into scripts so that when we're doing multicast stuff, it's easier for the other actors to find their lines. All right. Chapter 9. Chapter 9. Drafted.
Unity, you're clear to disembark. Forwarding you a flight path.
Thanks, Hammerhead, Nori responded over the comms, then proceeded to navigate the ship through the dense traffic coming in and out of the station. All right, she said once they were clear. Setting course for Gamma Pavonis. That's a 28 light-year trip that will take us... Lana called it 5.5 days.
That's quite the road trip. Well, supplies at least won't be a problem. We have enough to last us months. But with the deadline hanging over Earth...
We can't afford to spend so much time traveling between star systems. I know. I think it means we'll have to push upgrading Unity's null tunnel drive up the priority list.
Yeah, that's gonna set us back 900K. I looked it up.
Nori shrugged. We need to reach places quicker, especially since the astrometric lab will spit out new mineable locations we'll need to visit to earn more PiTec. Maybe we can find a good deal for a new drive engine at our destination. I hope these commercial licenses Diamond mentioned aren't going to be a problem.
Lana said. Why not use Nori's wrist console galactic connection to sniff ahead? Caddy asked. It's not powerful enough to handle that volume of data, remember? That's why acquiring a broadcast center for Earth is one of our priorities.
Well, if we have 5 days ahead of us, I think I'll help Cirque work on the mecha. We still have a lot of spare components left over, and my new path shows me some interesting ways to use them.
Cirque nodded. Your help would be invaluable, Bulko. I believe there are some new stress fractures from the recent skirmish.
Sure thing, buddy.
Caddy rolled her eyes. Men in their cars.
I'd hardly call it that.
So, did I or did I not see you bring in a can of hot rod red paint? So, did or did I not see you bring in a can of hot rod? So, did or did I not see you bring in a can of hot rod red paint with you before we left Earth?
How should I know what you've seen? She arched an eyebrow. Fine. I might have brought some highlighting accessories.
Magnesium caps,
she said, as if coughing. I did not bring in magnesium caps. He crossed his arms.
You know I can see a person's freckles from 200 meters away with my cyber eye augmentation, right?
Those were joint coverings, he said, not changing his expression.
Right, because palladium, an alien alloy specialized for absorbing damage, which we literally have tons of, wouldn't be a better fit. Or maybe it simply doesn't shine quite as polished. Or maybe it simply doesn't shine quite as polished. Or maybe it simply doesn't shine quite like polished magnesium caps.
I'll be in the workshop.
He grumbled. And turned back.
Next time I catch you fondling your sniper rifle, I'm going to make a point of it too.
Caddy smirked. I have no problem with that. A girl needs to fondle a big gun now and then.
He glowered at her, then stomped out of the bridge. Lana coughed.
That's a bit crass. What? No, it's not. Want me to whip it out for you to check?
Lana bolted after the engineer.
Between you and Unity, I'm starting to feel sorry for the big guy,
Nori said.
Nah, he can take it.
The impish woman grinned.
I even think it's good for him with how broody he gets.
I concur with the security officer, Unity said, though I'd argue I'm better at browbeating the chief engineer.
Really?
Caddy arched an eyebrow.
Quite so. How'd you figure that?
My guns are bigger than yours. The Jaeger grinned.
Touché, girl.
What's up, Lazy? Good to see ya. Thanks for coming. They each passed the days according to their personal preferences and responsibilities, but everyone inadvertently found themselves spending long hours in Caddy's recently formed recreation room. Cirque was especially mesmerized by Earth's sitcom shows, quickly becoming a fan of Friends. They also made a point of sharing their evening meals together, which were mostly filled with discussions to bring their new crew members up to speed.
So, each of you have a storage implant?
Leonard, the new ship's doctor, asked.
We do.
Lana smiled at him.
We'll get you guys one once we sell our iridium.
Oh, no. There's no need to spend PiTec on me, he said quickly. Really, I don't have much use for one. How does it work? Judy asked, eyes alight in fascination.
Like this.
Lana held up her palm, and a pack of gum materialized out of thin air.
You know,
Caddy said,
now that we're level 10, we can use a grade E implant that will let us hold 10 kilos. It'll come in handy carrying extra weapons and ammunition.
Putting aside the issue of turning our resident gun nut into a walking armory, Judy said, I meant more in the sense of how they technically work.
Oh, that,
Caddy said.
It's got something to do with the tech multidimensional abilities.
The scientist's eyes widened. The what? The Jaeger shrugged.
I'm not clear on that one. Bolko, I think that's more up your alley.
He shook his head. All I know is that those Akai scientists working on Grotula 3 told me. All I know is what those Akai scientists working on Grotula 3 told me. Apparently, the tech exists as immutable particles across multiple realities, which somehow causes a sort of dimensional vacuum through which power is generated. Based on that, you can also somehow use the tech to manipulate dimensions in a way that enables Based on that, you can also somehow use the tech to manipulate dimensions in a way that enables interstellar travel using the null tunnel drive and holds small items in storage using implants.
Fascinating,
Judy said.
I'd be interested in talking to those Akai myself. You'll get your chance,
Nori said.
We need to speak to Grotula 3 and get the storage implant we took from the Syndicate speaker. Yeah, that's just one of our items on our to-do list.
Caddy said. What are the others? Leonard asked. Apart from, saving our planet, I guess.
Grotula has asked us to locate more relict shards, Lana pointed out. He gave us the coordinates for 2 possible locations, but they're a long way out of our way.
Actually, Nori said, I've fed the coordinates to my navigation console. It's true that reaching the farthest one, a rogue asteroid, will take 2 weeks of travel, but the one on Centillion 2 is only 2 light-years away from Gamma Pavonis.
Really? The doctor leaned forward. Are we going to look for it? The pilot shook her head.
The Centillion system is uninfused. The system lords don't take kindly to outside interference, and we don't want another one of them gunning for us.
Not that it stopped that eater asshole from interfering with us.
No, it didn't. We also need to figure out what's going on with Techno Boy's path, Caddy said. There were plenty of hints about how unorthodox it is, and yet that Amphidlon armorer chick had an armor kit she couldn't explain that was tailor-made for technomancers. What's so unique about Nathan's armor?
Judy looked at the young man, who shifted in embarrassment under the scrutiny.
From what I remember, it looks a lot like Lana's. You haven't seen how he activated it? Didn't it just unfold around him like the rest of you?
Caddy grinned at her.
Oh, darling, you're in for a treat. Nathan, if you please.
The man looked reluctant, but nodded all the same. A moment later, his armor materialized around his body, seemingly pouring out of his exposed skin.
Holy! The scientist woman stared in amazement. I'd like to run some tests.
Nathan's helm unfolded from his head.
I don't know if finding more about my path is that important. I think it is more urgent to follow our suspicions on the origin of alien species.
We think most alien species share a common ancestry,
Lana explained.
That will explain why so many are humanoid, how they share similar breathable atmospheres, composition, and how many have roughly similar ecosystems on their home planets.
It's certainly interesting, Judy nodded, though not exactly my specialty. Why is it relevant to our situation?
Because,
Lana lowered her voice conspicuously,
we suspect the original ancestors are the relict themselves.
The race of aliens who invented the tech? Leonard asked.
Yep. We pieced out that paths nowadays are fractions of the original relict's paths. The closer an individual is to them, genetically, the better path they get. According to Alzygo, humans seem closer than most of the relict, as many of us have advanced. According to Alzygo, humans seem closer than most to the relict, as many of us have advanced paths, but Nathan's race is the real missing link.
I don't follow. Leonard frowned. What about his race?
You can't tell because we've purchased an advanced obfuscation implant for him. Nathan?
Nori said.
Nathan?
The young man seemed even more uncomfortable. Than before, but nodded. A moment later, his general information appeared before the crew.
Nathan Barlev. Human Scion. Level 10.
Human scion? Human scion? Leonard asked. So what? You think his genes are close enough to the original relict for the tech to identify it as part of his race?
And awarded him with the most advanced path anyone we encountered ever heard about,
Lana added. Caddy's eyes lit up.
Wow, guys. Do you think it means the relict were actually ancient humans? That would be so cool.
I doubt it, the doctor said.
Excuse me, guys.
The doctor said. There's only a 1% difference between humans and chimpanzees, and we look quite different. If Nathan is only identified as a scion rather than an actual relict, it means they could look as different from us as any of the other aliens we encountered. If Nathan is only identified as a scion rather than an actual relict, it means they could look as different from us as any of the other aliens we encountered. He waved over his wrist, making his console display a hovering, rotating strand of DNA. It's one of the things I looked into when we were on Hammerhead. I downloaded all the freely available medical records they had. There's a huge variety between human and other aliens' DNA. Some are fairly close. The Amphidlon shared 97% of our genetic markers, but others have 0% compatibility. Some don't even have the same basic nucleic acids as us.
Yet, everyone can use the tech, Judy mused. Maybe it's not a question of being descended from the relict, but being influenced by them? Maybe they spiked their genetic materials into other infant species? My soulmate and I, Unity's voice was soft, think it is more likely that the relict seeded the galaxy, and maybe others with their essence, allowing it to evolve naturally, each according to its unique environment.
Cirque nodded.
Some of my people suspect the same. It is what we refer to as the relict legacy. However, the term is mostly used in reference to their leftover technology. How does investigating it help us, though? Caddy asked.
I don't know. Nathan looked dejected.
I just feel like it's important. And we've learned that Nathan's feelings are usually worth exploring,
Nori added, putting a hand on his shoulder. He breathed in and sat straighter.
Thank you, Captain.
We still got a day to kill.
Caddy looked up at a hollow monitor at the back of the galley.
Any suggestions?
Friends Marathon?
Cirque suggested, hopefully.
Another one? We've already done 3 seasons.
I'm curious to discover if they managed to agree whether or not they were on a break.
Oh, man. That's pretty good.
Spoiler alert, little buddy. They never did.
He looked around at the surprised looks.
What? It was a good show, even if they could have used a few more black guys. What? It was a good show. What? It was a good show, even if they could have used a few more black guys.
Cirque tilted his head. Is the actor's color significant? There are even fewer green men than black.
Can't argue with that.
Unity's voice echoed through the ship. ETA to the destination. 10 minutes. Nori's voice followed a moment later. All hands, report to the bridge. They assembled at the bridge, the huge triple monitors displaying the star-strewn funnel they were traveling through. Exiting to normal space in 3, 2, 1. The star tunnel peeled off from around them, giving room to an entire star system that sprang into place to engulf the ship. Hundreds of small dots started appearing on the giant view screen as the sensors took in their surroundings. Spaceships were flying toward and away from their destination. The sun shone bright blue, washing the planet before them with intense light. Caddy let out a whistle. Damn! That's something you don't see every day.
It looks like a giant glass marble.
We're 22,000 kilometers away from Bright,
Lana said, eyes scanning her hollow monitors.
Sensors indicate the entire planet's surface is covered in a reflective layer. Solar collectors. It looks like there are giant structures beneath that layer.
They covered their entire planet with solar panels? Nori asked. Wouldn't collecting solar energies using solar sails in space be more efficient?
Not exactly,
Lana said. Her eyes still focused in front of her.
This is an O-type star. Apparently, old Earth's astronomers mistakenly classify it between blue and white.
What's that got to do with anything? Caddy asked. Lana shook her head.
O-type stars are pretty rare. They're the hottest, brightest type of stars we know. They're the hottest, brightest types of stars we know of. They give out a huge amount of heat and solar radiation, making them both ideal for harvesting solar energy. They give out a huge amount of heat and solar radiation, making them both ideal for harvesting solar energy and hazardous to most life forms. The solar collectors surrounding Bright also act as a barrier that filters out harmful radiation. The entire planet was colonized by aliens from outside the system, which built it up as such. They first recovered the entire planet with solar collectors. They first covered the entire planet with solar collectors, a few kilometers off the surface, then used the energy to terraform it. The ground is lush and full of life, pretty close to our definition of heaven, while the structures themselves are built on top of giant pillars that hold them half a kilometer off the ground. All the cities are actually suspended above the planet's surface. They allow enough light to pass through special solar tubes, providing safe illumination to the ground and the structures.
Whoa, Caddy said. You got all that from 10 seconds of looking at sensor data? I don't think you can continue to claim we need to upgrade them.
Well,
Lana looked back at the Jaeger with an embarrassed smile.
Bright has an automated communication signal which forwarded us a docket as soon as we dropped out of the null tunnel. It contains their rules, docking procedures, and a summary of the planet's history.
Caddy gave her a pointed look. So all you did was read for us out loud while basking in our misguided adoration of your vast intellect?
I added some embellishment,
she said defensively.
like the fact that we didn't know it was an O-type star.
Yep, that was definitely the most important tidbit.
We still need better sensors.
Lana added. Lana added, looking around the bridge for support. Did they send details about where we can dock? Nori asked.
There are 2017 spaceports on the planet,
Lana said.
and over 50,000 landing pads for shuttles and smaller vessels.
How do we know where we need to go? How do we know where we need to go?
The docket also contains the contact details for an information guide for new travelers. It cost 2,000 PiTec.
2,000 for a phone call? If that's an indication of price rates around here, we're in trouble.
It's pricey, Nori agreed. But if they can guide us to the right place, it can save us time, which is more important.
How are you planning to pay them? Our PiTec account is at exactly 0.
Shouldn't be a problem, Nori said, tapping her wrist console for a few seconds. With the amount we usually hold, our account has a credit line of 100,000 PiTec. I guess someone in the Celestial Bank system considers us a good investment. Go ahead and connect us, Lana. The expert nodded, swiped a hollow monitor. The expert nodded, swiped a hollow monitor to the side, and enlarged another one, tapping at a glowing button at the center. The leftmost view screen flickered to display the face... The leftmost view screen flickered to display the face of an alien species they hadn't encountered before. He looked remarkably like a short and thick human with huge ears that covered most of the side of his head.
All right. I have an idea of how to do this. Just kind of looking at this guy's character, thinking about what kind of voice would work.
Welcome to Bright Unity. Welcome to Bright Unity.
The alien spoke.
My name is Vorgus, your designated guide for our lovely planet.
He looked to his side, where it was obvious he was examining some information.
I see you're classified as a mining freighter and have no outstanding criminal markers. That is very good. You will find Bright a welcoming place for decent and well-intentioned individuals. How may I help you on this fine day?
His species is called Valrock,
Lana whispered.
Don't know why I'm whispering since I muted the call for a moment. Unmuting now.
Vorgus, Nori nodded. We're looking for a place to sell some erodium and make large-scale purchases. Easily done.
The alien's ears flapped like butterfly wings, which Nori's translator interpreted as a friendly smile.
We have numerous markets available throughout the planet, almost all of which have traders willing to purchase erodium. I would be able to guide you better if you could tell me what sort of equipment you're looking to purchase and of what grades. Spaceships and heavy manufacturing equipment, Nori said. Grade F for the ships and up to D for the rest. Ah, that helps narrow it down significantly. Most space vessel traders would have most space vessel traders would have representatives.
The view screen flickered and was replaced with static. Nori frowned.
Lana? That wasn't me,
the expert said defensively.
It didn't get anywhere near the hang-up button. I didn't get anywhere near the hang-up button. There must be...
The screen flickered back to life, this time showing a different, stern-looking Valrock standing with his arms behind his back.
This is an emergency broadcast. To all ships in the system, this is High Admiral Cranen. A Grade D swarm attack from A Grade D swarm attack from Brine is in progress. All combat-capable ships are hereby drafted to aid in defense of the planet. This is a mandatory draft. Any able-bodied ships that leave the system or fail to follow emergency protocols will be marked with a high-severity offense. Non-combatant ships not already on a landing vector are encouraged. This is an emergency broadcast. To all ships in the system, this is High Admiral Cranen. A Grade D swarm attack from Brine is in progress. All combat-capable ships are hereby drafted to aid in defense of the planet. This is a mandatory draft. Any able-bodied ships that leave the system or fail to follow emergency protocols will be marked with a high-severity offense. Non-combatant ships not already on a landing vector are encouraged. Non-combatant ships not already on a landing vector are encouraged to leave the system immediately. What the hell is going on? What's a Grade D swarm attack?
Lana's hand quickly flew over her console.
Oh, no. What?
Nori demanded. Instead of answering, the expert gestured quickly at the center of... Instead of answering, the expert gestured quickly at the center view screen. The view changed, angling toward the faraway planet closest to the sun. A swarm of dots had disengaged from the surface and was spreading across space toward Bright. The view zoomed in by several magnitudes, which was barely enough to depict weird-shaped vessels.
Huh. Kinda looks like they're made of spaghetti. Weird ship design.
Those aren't ships,
Lana whispered.
Those are warped.
What? Caddy shouted.
The assholes can fly in space?
Looks like it,
Nori said, working her consoles.
They're closing in on us at an enormous speed. Much faster than Unity's thrusters. Half the ships in the systems just engaged their null tunnel drive out of here.
Might be the smart thing to do. This isn't our fight.
I'm not sure we have a choice,
Lana responded.
There's no question that Unity has combat capabilities, and being flagged with a high-severity offense will basically make us wanted criminals in the system. There's no question that Unity has combat capabilities, and being flagged with a high-severity offense will basically make us wanted criminals in this system. You heard what Diamond said. The next nearest commercial planet is over 200 light-years away. It'll take us over a month just getting there.
She's right, Nori said. Nori said grimly,
We have to stay.
Let's hope the Admiral knows what he's doing. The rightmost view screen changed to show a cluster of the remaining drafted ships coming closer together. Several huge dreadnoughts were easily visible through the hundreds of smaller vessels.
Unity? A calm voice spoke through the comms. This is Bright Military Defense AI. Your combat capabilities have been determined to be in the high F rank. You are assigned to a squadron, codename Flush, composed of similar capable vessels. Please join them at the following coordinates and await further instructions. Nori?
Lana. Nope.
Nori?
Lana asked nervously.
What are we going to do?
Not sure I'm looking forward to taking Unity against space-capable Warped. Is this really our fight?
Lana. Can you zoom in on the Warped some more? Can you zoom in on the Warped some more?
The expert shook her head.
We're at our sensors. We're at our maximum sensors range.
She gave the Jaeger a meaningful glare.
But at the speed they're coming, they'll be within range for a full scan in minutes.
All right.
We've come this far. Getting away would set us back by more time than we should waste. It doesn't sound like Warped attacking the planet is an unexpected occurrence. The Admiral didn't look surprised to me, which means, I hope, they know how to defend themselves. So this isn't a suicide mission.
We can just sit this one out, Caddy suggested. Hang back and keep away from the skirmish.
Nori shook her head. I'm pretty sure refusing an emergency draft would land us in the same amount of trouble as running away. She started tapping her console. Remember what we discussed? We might be new at this, but we're probably higher level than most ship's crews in our class. But we're probably higher level than most ship's crew in our class, and Unity is unique. We'll be all right. I'm bringing us toward the coordinates they sent us. Cirque, we'll be counting on you for this.
The green alien nodded, his lower body encased by his station seat, his arms and upper body covered with the holographic firing controls. The holographic fire body covered with the his arms and upper body covered with the holographic firing controls.
I will do my best, Captain.
Unity veered down toward the planet, joining a growing cluster of ships ranging from similarly armed freighters, mining vessels, and even armored shuttles. The rest of the more combat-capable ships clustered into 4 fleets, each one surrounding a giant dreadnought.
The Warped reached sensor range.
Lana said. The right view screen instantly zoomed in, focusing on the largest enemy. Holy shit, Bulko said softly. The soaring monster looked like an eldritch octopi horror. Holy shit, Bulko said. The soaring monster looked like an eldritch octopus horror, with multiple metallic tentacles leading forward, aiming toward the shining planet. Its metallic skin was covered with small yellow-green protrusions as if it was lined with rotting teeth.
Warped. Level 31. Spacefaring variant. Threat assessment. Deadly. Level 31?
Lana breathed.
That's 6 crossroad paths.
Warped don't have paths, Cirque spoke calmly, though they have equivalent jumps in power. That specimen is beyond us. Bulko nodded. Even in her alternate form, I doubt we'll be able to make a dent in that monstrosity. But I guess that's what the big ships are for.
The other four fleets moved forward to engage, while Unity's squadron remained behind. The first 3 fleets each targeted one of the giant horrific monsters, leaving the 4th and largest fleet to engage the final 2. Each of the giant Warped was surrounded by a host of smaller ones. As Unity's crew watched, the dreadnoughts opened fire, blasting the monsters with devastating beams of destruction. Green, yellow, and red tore through space, peeling off layers of the tentacled monsters. At the same time, tiny missiles were launched, causing huge explosions across their bodies.
We're winning!
Lana exclaimed with a relieved tone.
We're winning!
Lana exclaimed.
Don't count our chickens yet, Bulko growled.
The impact of energy beams and missiles suddenly stopped as a glowing yellow field of energy sprang into existence around the horrors.
The bastards have developed energy shields?
Most warped past level 20. Sometimes even as low as 15, evolve them,
Cirque added. Still, some shots penetrated the barriers, especially the Dreadnought's front heavy cannons. The warped skin continued to peel off. One by one, tentacles withered and died, while a host of smaller battleships and warped nimbly flew around each other.
Excuse me.
One by one, tentacles withered and died, while a host of smaller battleships and warped nimbly flew around each other, engaged in a dogfight.
Oh, need more water. Oh my God, long chapter.
It looks like our side is winning,
Lana said in relief.
The warped are losing numbers fast and only destroyed a few ships, and all dreadnoughts are doing well. Oh no! Some of them are heading toward the planet. Some of them are heading toward the planet.
The view zoomed in on several medium-sized warped that disengaged from the space battle.
Squadron Flush. Squadron Flush.
The planet's AI spoke calmly.
Intercept the approaching warped. Each ship is ordered to engage its assigned targets.
Got it,
Nori said, her fingers flicking as they were instantly covered in a grid of holographic lines.
Moving forward. Cirque, lock on our target.
Yes, Captain.
Unity and a dozen other ships sped toward a flying warped 4 times their size. Weird yellowish spots decorated its skin, making it look like it was suffering from some contagious disease. Unlike its larger octopus-like brethren, this one resembled a floating crustacean, of which all legs and pincers. Unlike its larger octopus-like brethren, this one resembled a floating crustacean, of which all legs and pincers were aiming toward them.
Warped. Level 22. Spacefaring variant. Spacefaring variant. Threat assessment. Very high.
Firing!
Cirque called. Twin beams of red energy shot out of Unity and hit their target, along with a dozen others. The warped shield flared up, deflecting most of the damage, showing only a slight scorch mark along its metallic skin. The leading ships continued firing as the slower-moving ones joined the fray, adding to the bombardment. Missiles and guided bombs passed through the energy shields, and a chain of explosions wrecked the flying warped, causing several of its limbs to crack and break off. Its shield kept glowing, absorbing the continued energy weapons barrage. It accelerated unexpectedly, appearing amid their group.
Shit!
Bulko shouted as Nori sharply pulled Unity up and away from the giant monster. They were all pressed down to their seats as some G-force escaped through their strained inertial dampeners, threatening to squash them flat. their strained inertial dampeners, threatening. They were all pressed down to their seats as some G-force escaped through their strained inertial dampeners. They were all pressed down to their seats as some G-force escaped from their strained inertial dampeners, threatening to squash them flat. The other ships broke away as well, but 2 were too slow. The giant warped claws closed around them, snapping shut, cutting them apart in a series of explosions that caused its energy shield to fluctuate erratically. The explosions continued even as the giant crustacean brought them closer to its center, where a huge mouth that looked like a giant paper shredder appeared between its protective plates. Cries for help erupted out of the emergency channels, but were just as quickly muted as the warp tore into the ships, breaking and gulping them down. Parts of its cracked limbs were visibly regenerating as it fed. Nori was quick to bring Unity around, beating the other fleeing ships. "Keep firing!" Unity's twin cannons kept firing through the now fluctuating shields. A gentle tremor ran through the hull as the asteroid cannon fired. The mithril-tipped projectile tore through the monster's thorax, sending a small eruption of metal and yellowish spots. The mithril-tipped projectile tore through the monster's thorax, sending a small eruption of metal and yellowish spots. The other ships circled back and joined the fray, combining their firepower to slowly tear the larger monster apart. The floating warp attempted another surprise dash, but its left side seemed to have problems. It only managed to put itself in a spin as it kept sustaining fire. The damage quickly accumulated, and with a brilliant flash, the monster exploded, showering the group with yellow-spotted metallic shards. The ping of impacts ran all along the hull, and Nori quickly put Unity into a dive to avoid the rest of the shrapnel. "We're okay," Bolko said quickly as he ran a diagnosis. "Some minor hull fractures and a tiny bit of structural damage. One of the internal chambers was exposed to space, but it was automatically sealed. No system damage that I can see. We're good for now." His eyes turned sideways. "Yeah, I know it hurts, girl, but you made it. It's over." Looks like the other groups in our squadron managed to also kill their targets," Nori said. "Only one remaining." The final level 24 warp persisted longer than the others, but was quickly torn apart as all groups converged on it like a host of angry bees and tore it apart. "Squadron Flush," Bright's AI spoke. "Your objective was accomplished. Please return to your previous coordinates and await further orders." "Lana," Nori said, "how's the rest of the battle looking?" In response, the three main view screens flickered, each showing a different engagement. The 3 fleets that engaged the solitary eldritch horrors were in the process of wiping out the last surviving warped, but the 4th and largest fleet was in trouble. The scattered pieces of one of the huge monsters they took out filled the space around them, but the last one, though heavily damaged, managed to close in on the dreadnoughts. Enormous, yellow-spotted metallic tentacles, hundreds of meters long, wrapped around the vast vessel and were burrowing through her plating, easily passing through flickering energy shields. "Damn," Caddy said breathlessly. "It's tearing them apart." The tentacles kept burrowing in and out of the enormous ship, like a kraken of old, tearing out huge chunks. The fleet's large group of smaller combat ships peppered the monstrosity with weapons fire in an attempt. to save her, but most were still occupied with the host of smaller warped surrounding it.
"They'll be all right. They'll be all right,"
Lana said.
The other fleets are nearly done, and we'll move in to help. They just need..."
A huge, radiant explosion filled the space as the dreadnought exploded, taking the monster with it.
"Oh no."
Energy shields flared up around the swarm of vessels and warped. Destroying some and scattering the others, launching them at tremendous speed.
Squadron flush. Squadron flush. Squadron flush.
The AI's voice no longer sounded calm.
Multiple warps are hurtling toward the planet. Form a defensive blockade. Sending priority targets. Engage.
On it!
Nori called. Unity smoothly came about, facing the incoming mass of gaunt, warped, accelerated beyond their normal... Unity smoothly came about, facing the incoming mass of gaunt, warped, accelerated beyond their normal speed by the massive explosion. The other ships of their squadron quickly positioned themselves alongside, the whole group forming a giant screen of ships that opened fire, raining death and destruction on the approaching enemies. One by one, the already damaged warped exploded, succumbing to the concentrated fire.
We won't be able to stop them all!
Lana shouted, hands dancing frantically over her consoles.
They're approaching faster than we can shoot them down! The other fleets won't make it here in time to help!
They're busy taking down the others before they can close in as well,
Nori said grimly.
It's up to the rest of us to hold the line here.
Not sure I'm willing to die for a planet I hadn't even set foot on.
Not much closer now. Not much choice now. Brace yourself!
A giant warped, heavily damaged, impacted the vessel next to Unity. Both monster and ship erupted in an explosion that peppered the rest of their squadron with shrapnel, destroying several ships and sending several more to veer off as they lost control of their systems. Unity shook violently from the nearby chain of explosions and metallic pings that hit her hull. Everyone's seat automatically grew a second layer around them, bracing them in place more securely.
We've been hurt bad!
Bulko yelled.
Multiple breaches on the second and bottom floor. Structural integrity is compromised. We're venting atmosphere. The repair drones are performing emergency patchwork on critical areas.
Engines and weapons?
Left thruster is gone. The right one is still working. Both the asteroid and beam cannons are damaged, but are still operational.
As he finished speaking, another explosion rocked the ship, and a bulkhead above them erupted in a shower of sparks, which was instantly sucked away as the air began escaping the bridge.
Suits on!
Nor yelled. Helmets quickly spread over the crew's faces as their armor activated their spacesuit function. Judy and Leonard lacked such armor, but they had the crew's old spacesuits strapped as... Judy and Leonard lacked such armor, but they had the crew's old spacesuits strapped as belts around their waists, which quickly unfolded to cover their entire bodies.
Unity, are you all right?
I'm fine, Captain.
The sentient ship's voice sounded strained.
Atmospheric barriers are deployed over the breached segments to prevent additional air loss. No damage to the core or my main processing components. Damage is mostly limited to the upper and bottom floors.
Good thing we fattened you up, girl.
It's not over yet!
Lana cried. The majority of their squadron was unhurt, and their combined fire took down the incoming warped. A few more unfortunate ships were hit by the incoming monsters and disappeared in blowing gulls. A few more unfortunate ships were hit by the incoming monsters and disappeared in glowing balls of explosion. One such collision, however, didn't end as expected. No explosion erupted, and a heavily damaged yet still functional warped disengaged itself. God damn it. No explosion erupted, and a heavily damaged yet still functional warped disengaged itself from the ruined scraps and launched off toward the planet below.
Warped. Level 15. Spacefaring variant. Threat assessment. Medium. Heavily damaged.
Priority alert!
The voice of High Admiral Cranen came from the comms. The
warp has broken through the blockade and is about to hit the surface. All ships, hold your fire. We can't risk you hitting the planet. I need volunteers to use grapplers to pull that thing away.
There was a short, pregnant pause.
No one is moving to intercept?
Lana said in a hushed tone.
Not surprising,
Caddy said.
Getting close enough to deploy grapplers will put them in its range.
Apparently, the Admiral realized that too.
Then someone better ram that thing off my planet. Any damage sustained will be fully reimbursed by the Navy. You have 2 minutes before I'll have no choice but to engage the planetary defense system.
What's the urgency?
Caddy asked.
I say let them handle that one.
Nori's eyes widened in alarm, and her fingers flickered as Unity broke away from their squadron, struggling to bring the single working thruster under control and pursue the monster.
A lot of the ships are too damaged to move out of the way and might be caught in the crossfire if Bright engages their defense system. That's stupid!
The Jaeger threw back.
Why did they get us so close in the first place, then? Their system
was designed as a last line of defense to take down targets within the planet's atmosphere, Cirque pointed out. But that means that the debris from the warped they kill can still cause a lot of damage when they hit the surface. What are you doing?
Bulko shouted as the ship hurtled downward.
We can't use Unity's alter mode here. Everyone will see us.
The warped is much larger than us, Nori shouted back. We can land between its limbs to hide and drill straight into its brain.
You're crazy, Bulko shouted back. We barely have 90 seconds left. If they open fire on us, we're dead as well.
We've got this, Nori said with conviction. Bright, this is Unity. We're going after the rogue warped.
She glanced at the engineer, and the large man recoiled as he saw the pilot's eyes alight with blue energy. Nori looked back to her controls and, using their single active thruster, put the ship in a spin that corkscrewed them straight into the descending beast's belly.
Activate alter mode!
Unity's damaged hull groaned as she shifted, her legs spreading out an instant before they passed between the monster's flailing limbs, impacting its torso and piercing through its armored, pockmarked skin. Unity's head was still elongating to its full shape as her maw opened, blasting her intense drilling beam into the heavily damaged monster's head. Booms erupted all around as the monster's surviving limbs banged against their outer hull.
We're barely holding!
Bulko shouted as another blow racked the vessel, causing the rightmost view screen to erupt in a shower of sparks.
Nearly there.
Nori narrowed her eyes, guiding Unity along. The wasp-like ship lifted, somehow tearing out a huge chunk of metal, which she then seemed... The wasp-like ship lifted, somehow tearing out a huge chunk of metal, which she then seemed to gulp down. The sentient ship made a single step forward, plunging her head into a wide crack, blasting it full of energy just as they entered the planet's atmosphere. The warped let out a terrible screech that reverberated throughout the floor. A second later, its whole body erupted in flames as the air friction caused it to ignite.
Tech extraction commencing.
A moment later, bright flashes of white light erupted from the dead warped, streaming through Unity's hull and entering each of the crew's bodies.
Extracted 282 tech. Extracted 282 tech. 10% success rate.
In God's name, Leonard said weakly from his place at the back.
I just received 282 tech and gained 3 levels at once. I'm level 9 now.
Same, Judy said.
As a side note, we also received 800 PiTec,
Lana added.
We can discuss our gains after we escape with our lives. We can discuss our gains after we escape with our lives,
Nori said between clenched teeth, the light shining from her eyes so intense it reflected from her monitors. The dead warped body acted as a flame shield for the ship, but they were still free-falling toward the planet. Unity's single operating leg thruster lifted and flared up, turning them and the huge chunk of dead warped around, aiming them away from the fast-approaching planet. The thrusters flared even brighter as they struggled against the pull of gravity. "I need more power!"
On it!
Bulko shouted, his meaty hands moving over his light consoles.
Got plenty of juice in our core, but the thruster can only accept so much before it burns out. Power output is 142%. Any higher than that and we'll burn out.
It's not enough!
Nori cried. The rate of the descent slowed and the friction flames disappeared, but the planet below them rapidly grew as they fell.
"We're gonna crash!"
Lana yelled. Okay, new alien.
Hold on, Unity.
An unfamiliar voice called. An unfamiliar voice called. An unfamiliar voice called. An unfamiliar voice called. Yeah, that's probably the way.
Help is on the way.
Hold on, Unity. Hold on, Unity. Hold on, Unity. Help is on the way. Lana's eyes lit up.
"The other ships are heading our way. They're deploying grapplers. We're saved."
Disengage alter mode, Nori commanded. Unity's legs instantly slammed to her side, fusing back into the hull. Her head maneuvered back into position just as the first grappler found purchase. More lines were quickly cast, slowing, then halting their fall. The warped corpse started rising away from the planet. With a relieved sigh, Nori manipulated her controls, and the heavily damaged ship limped away from the ascending carcass.
"The battle is over,"
Lana said, looking at her monitors.
"The warped are all dead. Not sure how many ships were lost."
Whew. That's one hell of a world to live in, Bulko said, and we thought we had a warped problem.
Nori shook her head. "I'm not so sure it's a problem. Look." She gestured on the leftmost view screen. A host of ships descended on the dead warped, tearing them apart and chasing down scattered debris.
"Why?
What are they going to do with dead warped bits?" Caddy winced. "Use them as spare parts?"
No,
Judy spoke up, a single hollow monitor floating in front of her.
"From the sample, Unity has, swallowed. It looks like the metal's molecular bindings are coming apart. If I had to guess, I'd say it's the yellow spots they're after. I need to run a sample through the lab scanner, but it looks like some type of crystal."
All ships. All ships.
Let me go reference this guy one more time.
"Acknowledged, Unity. Thanks again for your help."
Forwarding your flight path.
See.
The alien.
All ships are hereby drafted to aid in defense of the planet. This is... All ships.
All ships. All ships. The High Admiral's voice sounded once more. The central view screen flickered to display the Valrock's face. The central view screen flickered to display the Valrock's face.
The swarm has been defeated. Bright thanks you all for your assistance and sacrifice. The foreign ships who participated in the conflict will be rewarded based on their contribution. All damage sustained will be repaired at no expense. Please hold for representatives to make contact. Further information. Please hold for representatives to make contact for further information. That is all.
Instead of disappearing from the view screen, the Admiral looked up.
Unity,
he said, his tone causing each...
Unity,
he said, his tone causing each crew member to jump.
I would like to personally commend you for your actions. Bright does not forget its allies.
Nori nodded.
Glad we could help, Admiral.
Humans. I'm unfamiliar with your race, but your valor and modesty speak well for you. On top of the earlier mentioned rewards, I'm using my special emergency authority to grant you a perpetual exemption from docking fees. I also declare that the corpse of the warp you killed will be claimed solely by you, despite other participants. Despite other participants. Despite.
That's very generous of you, Admiral. But if you allow me a small request,
The Admiral's ears tipped forward. A nod.
We're here looking to acquire crucial technology for our planet's survival. We understand that a merchant license is required on Bright, so, if possible, we're willing to forego the warped body in exchange for a high-grade one.
The Admiral's ears indicated he was taken aback, but he quickly recovered.
Quite a reasonable request. I'm afraid my authority does not extend far into commercial affairs, but I can grant you a Grade E license.
His hands flickered off. His hands flickered off screen.
Done. You may still claim the warped you killed. Bright only stands to gain from doing business with people such as you, I'm sure. I wish you success in your future business on our planet, Captain Nori.
Thank you, Admiral.
One last thing,
he said, giving a hint of a smile with his mouth for the first time.
Don't ever assume others can't see what you're doing. Don't ever assume others can't see what you're doing. Don't ever assume others can't see what you're doing. You have an interesting ship there, Captain.
We don't...
Your secret is safe with us. Don't worry, Captain. The Navy has more than one. But if I might make a suggestion, you might want to explore options to shore up some of your weaknesses. I'll make sure some will be made available to you. I'll make sure some will be made available to you. Goodbye.
The line cut off, and the main view screen flickered back to display the space around them.
All right, not exactly rolling out the red carpet, but as a welcoming party, it's not a bad one, Bulko said, grinning. This Admiral Cranen looks like a decent sort, ears and all.
We scored so much, Caddy whispered. How much do you think the warped is worth? I'm thinking 1 million PiTec. 2 million. Let's not count our gains before we even landed.
Bulko nodded.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing the planet is covering our repairs, because that would have set us back a good deal, let me tell you that.
Nori said. Bulko nodded.
Won't help much to those who died up there,
Nori said.
We're receiving another communication request from the planet,
Lana said.
It's Forgus, the information agent again. Huh. At least the absurd price comes with...
Huh. At least the absurd price comes with a return call, Bulko said.
Nori shook herself off her reverie.
Patch him through.
Unity! The large-eared alien beamed at them. So glad you survived that little skirmish. And what a grand show you made. Your ship's name is already circulating across the planet. They're calling you the Valorous Crew.
Do these little skirmishes happen often?
It varies. There are probing attacks every few days, but the fleet takes care of that far away from Bright. Every now and then, the warped population grows large enough to send more evolved specimens at us, at which point the Navy drafts any available At which point the Navy drafts any available vessel. At which point the Navy drafts any available vessel. Fuck. At which point the Navy drafts any available vessel.
Have they ever made it in force to the planet?
No. Oh, one or two sometimes slip by the defending ship, at which point our defense grid takes them out. Very rarely, an especially strong attack threatens the planet itself. But Bright is an important enough planet that our local system lords intervene if that happens. I believe the last time that happened was several decades ago.
So now we know what being important enough to warrant System Lord intervention looks like, Bulko said darkly. Think we can make Earth look like this place in a year?
I'm sorry?
Please disregard that comment. We still need a place to land.
Oh, that's easily handled. I see your docking fees have been waived, and a Grade E commercial license was awarded to you, opening access to most ports. You're also granted clearance to enter one of the Navy's shipyards for repairs. Based on your earlier requirements, I recommend you land at Navy Base G-17. It is fairly close to the Opal Market, one of the largest centers on the planet for heavy-duty merchandise, including ships. Alternatively, you may want to head out to Base K-12. It's closer to a more pleasant stretch of the planet where you can relax and recuperate from the recent altercation.
Base G-17 will do. Please send us the coordinates.
Of course. Good luck to you, Unity. And again, welcome to Bright.
All right. Wow. I went a long time today, but that's it for now. I will be back at it tomorrow. Oh, no. Oh, looks like it's still running, which is good. But anyway, yeah, thanks again, guys, for coming to hang out. I have one more cold read to do tomorrow. Let's see, how far am I in? 119. So just, it's only going to take like 25 pages for me to do, to get to 30% tomorrow. But, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. Be sure to check out all the links in the description below if you want to find the Earth Force cinematic audio on our, already on our platform. That's books 1 and 2. Also, you can, sign up for our newsletter. You can subscribe to the channel if you like these cold reads. Plenty of stuff to check out in the description. And, yeah, that's about it. Tell other people about this. And I'll be back at it tomorrow looking at noon Central to get started. So, you guys have a fantastic night, and I'll talk to you again soon. Later.